Hello guys, my name is Kim Paim. I'm a Brazilian journalist, I'm a conservative, and I'll try to explain what is happening in Brazil right now and how the world can learn with the Brazilians. For the first time in probably 100 years, the Brazilians elected a conservative president. And probably you understand that the media dislike him at all. No one will say anything good about him. So if you try to search his name in English like Bolsonaro, the Brazilian president is called Jair Messias Bolsonaro. But if you try to find anything in English, probably you'll see a lot of fake news saying that our president is a really bad guy that doesn't care about the country and everything else. It's really similar for what is happening in America. But what's the difference? Everything that is happening in America right now already happened in Brazil probably 20 years ago. If the world saw what happened in Brazil before, maybe everyone could do something different. What is happening in Brazil right now? Basically, the leftists are trying to get the power, but not trying to get the power through democracy, through the vote. They are trying to do a kind of coup, type remove the president with impeachment or something else and get the power again. And this group in Brazil, the leftists, the best way to understand how can I say? The best way to understand these people is return to the 60s, because that is when everything starts. You guys probably know that in 1960, around the 60s, we had the Cuba Revolution, where Fidel Castro got the power from Cuba. At that time in Brazil, we had a president that was called Jânio Quadros. At that time, in 1961, he gave a Medal of Honor, one of the biggest honors that the name is not Medal of Honor. I forgot the name of this one, but one of the biggest prize that someone can give to someone else, and they gave to Che Guevara. Probably you guys know it's a guy that likes revolutions. And at that time in Brazil, the leftists, they're trying to see what they could do to get the power. And a small group started to travel, to make some trips to Cuba to learn the tactics, the strategies, the knowledge. And inside Brazil, these people returned in the beginning of the 60s, and they start to do some planning, they start to group like militias, and they also started a cultural revolution. The cultural revolution in Brazil really started in the 60s. In 1964, this president that I said before, Jânio Quadros, he renounced. He said, "I don't want to be a president anymore." And who was in charge was João Goulart. This guy was a left-wing guy, a kind of communist, and he tried to get more power, but the military forces at that time removed him, and we had 21 years in Brazil of a military government. During this time, the left-wing guys, they had some groups that had some attacks, and they had another group that this one was really dangerous, because this group were doing a cultural revolution. All the time they were doing this. So for 21 years, they start to get the power for the schools, for the universities, what else? Cinemas, music, soap operas, TVs, everything. So now that the world awakened in Brazil, that was happening since the 60s. And from the 90s, they took over everywhere. So when the military government finished in 1985, we had our first president. We couldn't elect him. It was like an indirect way of choose the president that was chosen by another politicians. And this guy is called José Sarney. And then Brazil started to go a little bit further, and the biggest point that everything turned around was 1990. And why? In this year, the world should look at Brazil, because what is happening in Latin America, what is happening in Venezuela right now, it started in 1990. In that year, Fidel Castro from Cuba and Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, the Brazilian former president from the Labour Party, together they created a group called Foro de São Paulo. This group, the idea is recreate a Soviet Union in Latin America. It's a kind of group that is seeking for so much power that they want to change Latin America in a Soviet Union. And there are a lot of videos, a lot of content in Portuguese, in Spanish. They even have an official website where you can see the parties that are linked with the Foro de São Paulo. If you guys follow geopolitics around the world, like Europe, the parties that are in charge now in Spain, they have links with Foro de São Paulo. Labour Party in Brazil, they got the power, and probably you guys know what is Labour Party because we have Labour Party everywhere in the world, and they start to make so much corruption. But it was not corruption because they want to become rich, but because they want to feed this plane of power. And you even find videos from one guy that is called José Sarney. He is the brain behind the Labour Party, and he explains how Hugo Chávez got the power in Venezuela through the Foro de São Paulo, this group, how Evo Morales in Bolivia, how Cristina Kirchner, a former president and the actual vice president of Argentina, and another different Mujica in Uruguay, and all these people got the power through this group. It's called Foro de São Paulo. You have a lot of content. You have meetings. You have like Congress. That one of the former Brazilian president, a woman that is called Dilma Rousseff, she is making a speech, and behind her has a picture of Karl Marx and also Joseph Stalin. So yeah, this group got the power. They literally broke Brazil. They broke Brazil. We saw all the criminal rates increase like never. Problems, but the mainstream media is like, oh, look to Brazil. Brazil is so nice. At that time, okay, we had some kind of economic growing, but what happened? Our international debt and internal debt increased for like 10 times. Lula, the first president in front of the Labour Party, he make our debts like fly to the sky. And after all, by the end of the day, Brazil is in a crisis now because all of these people. So how we got a right-wing president between all these sort of problems, that is Bolsonaro. At the same time that all of this was happening, since in the 60s, we have a former communist, and he is a really former communist. He's not a communist anymore. He's completely the opposite. He is the brain behind this movement that made the conservatives react to the power once more. His name is Olavo de Carvalho. He is the biggest Brazilian philosopher from our whole history, and nowadays he's living in America. He even got a genius visa and he's living in Virginia. Professor Olavo in the 90s, after he left the communists, he said, oh, I cannot understand anymore. He studied so much, he understood everyone. He probably read all the books about communism that we can find in this world. He understood, and then he started to make a different job. He started to make a counter-revolution, if I can say in this way. The biggest hit that he has done, in the beginning of the 90s, he released a book that he could like break this barrier that he had in our society, because all the mainstream media in Brazil are left. Oh, we don't have even one small channel, even one we don't have. We don't have even one radio. It's everyone left. I'm not kidding at all. And Olavo, he could break this barrier, and the people, the normal people in the society could listen. Oh, so there is something extra, because in Brazil was a kind of fight. In one side we have the communists, in the other side we have like social democracy. What is a soft way of communism, right? Socialism. And this guy start to break this down. And Olavo, just himself, he started to give some lectures, start to teach some people, and basically all the influences right now in Brazil and some right-wing politicians are his students in some part of their lives. Some people still starting with Olavo. He has a course online, it's called the Seminar of Philosophy, is online course. He has classes every single week. So this guy started his job in the beginning of the 90s, like as a right-wing influencer, as like a philosopher, a journalist. And by 2013, we had the first awakening. People awake for the first time in 2013 and they went to the street to protest. At that time, we wanted change. In these protests, we have as a kind of result the impeachment of Dilma Rousseff, a former president of the Labour Party. And at the same time that this mass of people start to grow and say, oh, maybe we are conservatives, maybe we like the right-wing ideas, we start to seek and look for one politician that could represent us. And this guy is called Jair Messias Bolsonaro. He was a no kind of congressman that he became famous because some phrase that he said, because he was really against criminals, he was really against left wings in an era that everyone was left. He probably started his career in politics, I think 31 years ago. So yes, Bolsonaro got the power. All the mainstream media like in America say, oh, Bolsonaro is not going to win, Bolsonaro is not going to win, blah, 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 blah. But everywhere that he was going, a lot of people, huge crowds were going to see him. If you believe that Trump has big crowds, guys, you know nothing about Brazil. You should see, literally, Bolsonaro just arriving in an airport. You should see how so many poor people that has no money, like going to see him just to like give some support, because he represents not just idea, he represents a whole movement of counter-revolution of the leftist ideas. So every single news that you see about Brazil, guys, don't trust. Don't trust. If you want to understand Brazil, you have to go to the Brazilian Twitter. There is where you can find good news, or you can go to YouTube, the Brazilian influencers, and we have a couple of websites. But as I said, everyone is writing Portuguese, but you can try to use Google Translate. There is one website that is called Conexão e Política. You'll find a lot of news in Portuguese. You'll have another site that's called Terça Livre. You'll find a lot of news. Terça Livre has probably the biggest right-wing TV in the Latin America. They have around 1.1 million subscribers. They have lives every single day. So basically, what happened in Brazil since the beginning till now, what make our president got the power and our country looks so bad, was this. The leftists that started a job in the 60s, and then it started to get faster from the 90s after the creation of this group that exists until nowadays, which is called Foro de São Paulo. In 2013, the people start to awaken. In 2020, we have a huge mass of people that support these ideas, but we have no voice. We have no voice. So this is why I'm trying to make this video in English, to try to show to you guys that you are not alone, and we in Brazil are trying to fight as well against this movement. So if you like this, please give your comment, because this video I try to read all the comments. I'm interested to see like what the foreigners think about Brazil, think about the Brazilian country, the politics, and everyone else. And I'll say again, don't trust the mainstream media. What they're saying about Brazil, guys, it's not true.